Hi, welcome back. In this session we're going to continue work on the table feature, and I'm having a look at the to-do list that we wrote in the last episode, and I'm looking at this one about the event system and that it's tricky to understand. So I want to have a look in this session if there's something we can do to improve it. So I'll just put it at the top. So I will start by explaining a bit how this application works. So it's not built using any GUI framework. It's just using Pygame and Cairo to do drawing and key input event handling. So it's actually written with this widget framework, which is a custom widget framework just for this particular application. So I'm doing this sort of like an experiment to see what happens, kind of. And in this widget framework, there are basically three methods that all widgets implement, and it's for handling key input, updating the state of the widget, and then drawing the widget. And they should be present here somewhere, but it's not that clear which methods it is. So you can see the update method here, the draw method, and down below we have a process event. So for starters, I want to make that a bit clear that that's kind of the interface for that widgets implement, or that it's typically those methods that widgets override to provide custom behavior. So I want to start by making that part a bit more clear. So I want to extract those methods maybe to a separate page in this literate programming document. And it's saved. And let's see, so there is a modification in smartnotes.py. So let's see what kind of modification it is. Okay, so we changed the position of the update and the draw, which is expected. Okay, so let's extract this to a separate page. Let's call this page interaction. Yeah, so now it's a bit more clear that these are the methods that you override in a widget to provide custom behavior, and they're called in this order. So let's commit this fix. And say something like clarify what interaction interface is. So next, let's have a look at the situation that we ran into in the previous session with the key event handling. I drew this kind of overview of how the widgets are laid out. So let me show you again. So in this window, the top level widget is the Smart Nodes widget, and there is a search bar, there is the network and the table, and there's also a debug bar that can be toggled. So basically these 4 widgets laid out vertically. And some of them can be hidden, so not all of them are shown at once. And the behavior we were looking for in the previous session was to replace this middle widget to be either the network widget or the table widget. So what happens when there is a key event? The key event will come in this process event function, and it will come to the Smart Nodes widget. And the Smart Nodes widget will in turn forward that key event to all its children. This is done in this box implementation. So the process event just goes through the list of all visible children and forwards that event to the child. So what happened last time was that the key event went to the network, and that the network toggled the state in the Smart Nodes widget. Then the key event was forwarded to the next child, which is a table, and it just became visible because of the toggling. And then the key event will continue to the next visible child if it's visible, or rather continue to the debug bar if the debug bar is visible. So I'm not really sure how to handle this in a better way. So what we would like to do in the case of a key event, there's probably only one widget that should handle a key event. I'm not sure if it makes sense that multiple widgets handle key events. I'm not sure if it makes sense that multiple widgets handle like mouse events either. What if there was a flag on the event object that you could say like, this event is now handled, meaning don't continue processing. That might work. So say for example, if we have this situation, now the text box has focus. So if I press T, like for toggle, I want that text to be entered in the search box. I don't want to do anything else. Let's say, for example, say I have this note in the search bar focused, and I press T, nothing happens. So in this case, like all widgets on the screen will receive this T event. So first, the search bar itself will receive the key event. Then the search field will probably get the key event as well. But since it doesn't have focus, it will not process that event. So if only the focused widget will do the processing, it's perhaps not necessary to do all this traversing. We can just go directly to the focused widget. But say for example, what about mouse events? So when I move the mouse, not only the focused widget should receive the mouse event, So I think many widget frameworks handle mouse events and key events differently. And maybe that's something we want to do in this widget framework as well. But let's think again about key events. So say, for example, one thing that I wanted in the previous session was to also do the toggling if an event, if a note was focused. So now, if the network is focused, we can do the toggling with T. But if a note is focused, we can't do it. So if only the focused widget can handle key events, we have to implement the key handler in the note as well. On the other hand, we might want toggling to be like a global keyboard shortcut that works anywhere. So like even if the search bar is focused, we might want to have be able to toggle the network and a table. So in that particular case, we can't have a shortcut that would also enter some text in this text field. We have to pick a different keyboard shortcut that doesn't interfere with text entry. On the other hand, say for example that we choose Control T instead. Control T means toggle. Then if we process that in a level above, that event will never reach this text input field, and we cannot use it for anything. Say for example that we want to delete all characters in the text field. We couldn't use that because it's consumed by the global keyboard shortcuts. So I'm not really sure what the best way forward here is. One way could be to bubble events somehow. So say for example we're in an event is focused and we press T. T doesn't have a meaning for events, so nothing will happen in the processing in the event itself. But what if the event handling at the very end, if nothing handled the event, it will bubble the event upwards somehow. So in this case it will probably reach, I'm not sure what the parent is, but maybe the network or eventually the network. Let's try that idea out and see what it looks like and if it feels like a good idea or not. So let's start by looking at the event handling for a network note. So here it is. Process event. So if it doesn't have focus, we won't handle any more key events. But if it has focus, it checks for different key events. And at the very end here, left down. Oh, let's see. So if we have focus and we received an event that we did not handle, we want to bubble that event. So I'm not really sure what this will look like, but let's just try it out. So bubble event, event. So bubbling an event should really forward it to the parent widget. And at the moment, widgets don't know about their parent. That's maybe something we want to fix. Well, let's have a look again at the interaction. So what we added now was this bubble event method. And what we really want to do in it is to forward it to, we really want to call parent, not bubble event. And eventually, if the parent doesn't handle the bubble event, it will probably just bubble up one more level to its parent. So the default implementation should probably be something like if self.parent, then self.parent.bubble event. Does that make sense? Maybe. So if the widget has a parent, then call bubble event on the parent. If you want to do something within a bubble event, you override this bubble event method. Yeah, that probably would work. So for example, if we were to use this, so say for example, in the smart nodes widget, or let's see, the network now handles this toggle key stuff, right? Toggle table network. So this would not be handled in the network widget anymore, but instead we would call if this is focused, then self bubble event, and if it doesn't have focus, it will continue to process the children. Yeah, maybe that's correct. And we would have to do the same for the table. So let's just copy this so we can paste it later. So if it has focus, self.bubble event. And in the other case of the network, if it doesn't have focus, but some node has focus, the process event will be called on a node, and that in turn might call bubble event, which will bubble up all the way, hopefully, if I'm thinking correctly. So in the smart nodes widget, what we need to implement now is the thing that we copy pasted, and now we need to implement bubble event. So if we end up here, some child of ours has focus but didn't handle the event. So we can just check if it's the key down for the toggle table network key, then state toggle network, and in this case state is ourselves. We can just do this. Otherwise we'll just call the default implementation something like that. Yeah. Right, so now it's a matter of calling. We have to insert calls to bubble event everywhere. So let's check the network and the table for now. Let's start with the table because it doesn't have anything yet. So, oh, so this is not right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is right. If the table has focus and we don't want to handle it, call bubble. So that's correct. There's no handling at all yet in the table widget, so that's correct. The network widget is a bit more complex, so it has nodes and links. And I think we only store the nodes as children. Links, links must be stored also somewhere, right? How are links stored? Yeah, okay, so they're created here. So we have nodes and links, and what about processing event? Events are only processed and forwarded to nodes. So links will not receive events as it is now. That's okay. So if we end up here, we haven't handled the event ourselves, and if we have focus, we want to bubble the event and we don't want to continue processing further down the hierarchy. So now there's only one problem left before we can try this out, and that is the parent. There is no concept of a parent. So perhaps we need to introduce that. There is a concept of a window. So a window is like the physical window, and there's one window that all widgets are contained in. So we can do something just to test this concept. We can manually assign the parent. So first of all, let's try something even simpler first. Let's default the parent to none. So this will make bubbling just stop because there is no parent to bubble the event to, but it should make the code not crash. So let's try it out. Okay, that's good. Okay, I can see something broke here because normally when you hover a node, it should focus. This probably doesn't happen anymore because the network has focus and mouse events are not forwarded to the children either. So what if we wrote like this instead? So we always, the convention that we use is that key events are only handled if we're also in focus. So if we end up here, it could be a mouse event, but let's assume that we only handle process key events in the bubble mechanism. Then if we end up here and the event is a key event, the key event hasn't been processed somewhere else. So that should make the focusing of nodes work again. Let's see. Yeah, so now focus happens again. Let's just click around to see that nothing is very broken. Let's try a key event. Let's try to delete the pre-for. That works by pressing the delete key, so some key events works. T button, however, doesn't do anything, which is expected. But what about if the network is focused and we receive the toggle event? I was thinking that the smart nodes widget is focused because it looks like everything is focused now. But if we bring up the bug bar, for example, we can see that it's only the network that is in focus. So I was thinking that the smart nodes widget was in focus, and we just bubble the event when it really should be handled in itself. But yeah, okay, never mind. So in this particular case, what happens is that in this view, in this network view, there are only two things that can be focused. Either it's a node or it's the network widget itself. The parent attribute of a node must be set to maybe the smart nodes widget, which is the same as the state here. So we can let's just really quickly and ugly try to hack the parent attribute of nodes. So where do we create nodes? So there is update root node. So after the update, there will be all the nodes in this one. So for node clear hidden links. So we can also do node dot parent is state. Oh, this is really ugly. It's really ugly, but it will let us test this bubbling strategy. Name state is not defined. No, it's called self.state. Okay, so let's find self.state. And the state is the smart nodes widget. Okay, so now, oh, interesting. Maximum recursion depth exceeded in comparison. And I didn't press anything. I was just moving the mouse. So let's see what's happening. process event in VBox. And then we do parent bubble. Bubble event, bubble event, bubble event. Key down. Oof. Why is it causing recursion errors? Oof. So let's in the bubbling shouldn't. Okay, so we're doing something here in the bubble event. Let's just comment this out for now and see. There should be no recursion going on if we don't do anything stupid in the bubble function. Okay, so it works now. So maybe we did something stupid. Okay. Okay, so if an event is bubbled to the Smart Nodes widget, it will also be key events. Oh, let me make sure that I hover over an event as well. I'm not sure I did that last time. Okay. So bubbling will only happen when we hover an event, because events are the only ones that have the parent set. Okay. Smart Nodes, widget, bubble event, self event. Okay. And what if we only use the default implementation, like this one? Essentially, we're not doing anything then. That should be exactly the same as we had before. Let's see. No. Smart. Oh. This is the same function, so this is where the recursion happens. We should really call the parent's bubble event, like the parent class, which is in this case VBox. Oh, like that. Okay, so that's better. And crash, and let's see if we can restore this. And now do parent bubble event. Okay, let's try. Okay, so if an event has focus and press T, we're in the table view, but we cannot toggle back. And that's probably because in the table we're doing, if it has focus, which it does, we bubble the event, but the table doesn't have a parent. So we can do it really hacky. Same thing here. Parent is state. Let's try that. So we can toggle if an event has focus. I'm not sure why the table is not focused right away. It focuses as soon as I move the mouse. Interesting. Anyway, we can toggle back and forth. So if I try to toggle to the table view and toggle back without moving the mouse, does it work? No, because it doesn't have focus. Interesting. So let's add that to the to-do. Investigate why table does not receive focus. Immediately. Okay, so does it work if the network is focused? It doesn't, because the network doesn't have a parent, and we can do the same fix for the network. Self.parent is state. Okay, this is getting really hacky, but it's okay. We'll fix it. Now we're just interested in trying out the concept. You can toggle back and forth. So, yeah, I think I know why the table is not focused immediately. So if the network widget is visible, if the network widget has focused and we can toggle back and forth. That works, but not if a note. So what happens in the toggle function is visible network. So let's just print out what happens when we get here. Well, it should focus one or the other, right? Okay, this event processing system, not very easy to understand. I'm really confused. But that's okay. We'll try to improve it. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Okay, I think I know what's going on. There is also something known as a quick focus. And notes are quick focused. So I think there's a way to clear quick focus that we should do over here. And let's see, widget, yeah, clear quick focus. And clear quick focus is done when the mouse is moved, I think. And yeah, it doesn't hit an event, so let's add that one here as well. Self.clear quick focus. So now if an event is focused, you press T, the table is automatically focused. You can go back and forth, and the key is only handled in one place. Okay, so this is nice. I think we'll finish up this session now and continue in another one. So let's see what we've got. I'll modify the example notes. That's okay. We can revert that later. But anyway, so we added this parent attribute, hard-coded. We probably want to do this automatically somehow. And we had to add the bubble event calls manually as well. I think that might be okay, but we'll see. And the big win is that the toggle key event is now handled in only one place. And yeah, more hacky parent attribute setting, and this defaults it to none, so to make sure it doesn't crash if it don't set it. And then now the key event is handled in a bubble event. So one thing I'm thinking of as a to-do is should there be two event processing methods? Process event and bubble event. Or could we just have one? It's a bit confusing to know where to handle an event when there are two places. Anyway, we added a clear quick focus just to make sure that focusing actually works. Maybe focus could call clear quick focus by default. Might be a good idea. Should widget.focus automatically call widget.clear quick focus. And then the implementation for a bubble event, the default implementation. And more explicit call to bubble event. And yeah, now this event processing is gone as well in the table. So first attempt at bubble event implementation. And yeah, so we understood why the table did not receive focus immediately. That one is fixed. Should toggle key be handled at higher level? Yes, it should, and it now is. So the next question we had here is toggle should work if a note is selected. Yes, it works. So now we can also ask ourselves, should toggling work if like something in the search bar is selected? But if we have this bubbling event functionality, we can more easily put the event handling where we want it. So for the next session, we'll probably continue, improve event bubbling mechanism. The event system is tricky. Yeah, it's still tricky. But we will improve it. So let's remove that to do. This will be it for this session. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.